Okay, let's jump right into it. So I was hit up by a guy. Some people say I have some good hair in the community, and I appreciate that. I really do. But here's the thing. There's someone who has better hair in the community. The dude's name is Gary, also known as Very Gary. And Very Gary hit me up, and he's like, yo, Tom, I have a question for you. I'm crossing my fingers, I'm crossing my toes, I'm crossing my curly hair, that you will do a video. If I shout you out, he was being really nice about it. He's like, yo, I'm going to shout you out in a video.
Giving you a heads up that he's going to shout you out, not just hitting you cold with it.
Exactly. He didn't hit me cold.
Put you on blast, as they say.
Because he's freaking cool, dude. That's how he does. And what he did was very nice. He gave me a shout out on his channel. And if you don't follow Very Gary, you should. He does awesome unboxings. He does market analysis. He does a bunch of fun commentary. In the chat, I want to hear your guys's thoughts about Gary and if you follow him, because we all do. He's an awesome member of our community. Now, he shouted me out, and he also shouted out a guy that goes by the name Gem Mint.
It's your boy Gem Mint.
And he said, yo, we're going to do the top 10 MCU picks as we close out December. What are your favorite MCU movies, okay?
Films only. Is that
Films
a thing?
only. Yeah,
Okay.
We're not talking Disney Plus. Maybe next year we can rank the Disney Plus shows, because we'll have
Sure.
more than 4 to talk about, 5 to talk about.
I was going to throw Netflix in there personally, but
it doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Okay.
So
Good
what
to
we're
know.
going to do here today is we are going to go over my top 10 MCU films, and I think it's about to get eerie because I tend to have a very...
None of them are Marvel movies.
Yeah, no, that's right. I've taken this a different direction. They're all independent. No, I'm just kidding.
It's my top 10.
No,
Number one is The Witch.
number one,
The Scarlet
Anya
Witch.
Taylor-Joy.
Yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
No, so we're gonna go into my top favorite MCU movies, but Ryan doesn't know them. And before we get into that,
I know the movies.
That's right.
I don't know what ranking you have. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen Black Widow yet, and I haven't seen Eternals yet. Other than that, I'm good.
Okay, well, no worries, because neither of those ranked on my list. So
Okay.
Ryan is primed, and I told him I want his raw reaction.
Although I'm seeing
You're seeing one right now.
the thumbnail
Don't-
here.
Don't show any. Don't look at the other ones that are on here. I'm gonna make them really small so
Okay.
you can't see them. He's so tiny. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm going to show on the screen.
I think I'm going to be mad.
I know. That's what I'm trying to do. I think the community is going to get upset with me, because here's the thing. I think I have good comic taste, as do you. But the thing is, I have a very low bar for enjoyment of comics. There's typically always a redeeming factor.
Right.
It's like, as long as I don't like hate it, you know, I think it's like horror movies for me. And we've talked about this on the show many times. Hit the subscribe button. So MCU movies, superhero movies in general, if they're dark, if they're mature, if they're violent, if they're more on the horror vibe, those are always going to be my top tier. Here's the thing. MCU movies aren't like that. Maybe Multiverse of Madness, they may dabble in some dark stuff. I don't think it's going to happen. However, the MCU movies, by and large for me, are my favorite if they have rewatchability.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
I like superhero movies I can just throw on the screen and enjoy. I want to be rooting for the characters. I want to be anticipating a particular scene that I know I enjoy so much that when it hits, it doesn't matter if the whole film in its entirety isn't better than another in some people's eyes. That scene is something that I look forward to from the beginning of the movie, that it ranks in my top 10.
So if one movie has a cool scene that you love, you will rank it higher than a whole movie that you like on the whole, even with fewer awesome moments?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it could be, and most of the time, if there's one scene that I like, there's more than one. But
Sure.
it's like different levels, and one will just put itself to the very, very top because of it. So,
Okay.
All right. So, Colin, if I want to hear your thoughts, what you think about my ranking.
Are you if you're starting with this movie right here, I'm already upset with you. So
Let's get it rolling. We're starting it off with Thor Ragnarok.
that's your number 10?
This is my number 10.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason why this is my number 10, you get the Planet Hulk narrative. You see Thor, you see him go up against the Hulk. This is one of the funnier movies. You have Loki. And I think that the comedy combined with the overall action sequences, and you also have the Easter eggs of Man-Thing. You also have the Easter eggs of Beta Ray Bill. That was so epic to me. And then you have Jeff. Oh my gosh.
Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum. I just like brain farted there. Jeff Goldblum, absolutely slaying the role. all of that combined makes this an anytime movie for me. Thor Ragnarok at my list at number 10. What's your gut response? You said you're going to be pissed already. You think this shouldn't even be on my list, damn
This is really low on your list. I'm surprised.
Oh, it's too low.
So in your head, did you rank the entire MCU and there's just 12 or whatever movies not on your list?
There's like 20, 3 movies or something like that in the MCU. This one ranked number 10 out of all the 23.
Okay.
So there's 9 above this.
Maybe I need to look at a list of all of the MCU movies, but I would personally put this one a little higher than 10 out of 10.
Well, what I'm interested in is, and I'm going to spoil this here. I am going to request. I have a little sinus stuff going on, comic fam.
It's gross.
I've been living off Afrin. It's a thing. And it's also black magic. For those of you who utilize the wonder drug that is Afrin, you will know what I'm talking about. You take Afrin, and it fixes all your sinus problems.
Do you see other dimensions?
Basically, because
magic.
If you go for like days of not being able to breathe through your sinuses, because I have a deviated septum that I'm going to get fixed, it's going to be an interesting time next year, comic fam. Afrin fixes it. However, it only works really well the first day. The second day doesn't work as well. The third day, it's even worse. And then if you don't utilize it, it makes everything reverse, and you can't breathe. You can't breathe at all. It makes it like worse than the day before you started utilizing Afrin. It is literally like the dark hold in drug form.
Thank you to new sponsor of the show, Afrin.
Afrin. And I recommend the heavy moisture version of it. It's like a purple bottle.
We should do top 10 Afrin products.
I could even do that, but this is not what the podcast is about. This section is about my favorite MCU movies.
Okay.
So I'm going to, real quick,
please.
There will be another live show before the end of the year if we get all this done. I'm going to request that Ryan bring his 10 to the table. So kind of go loose on where you think your movies are going to stack, because I want to hear it fresh just like you're hearing mine. But Thor Ragnarok at number 10.
Cool.
He already thinks it's too low.
Correct.
All right.
I'm sure the chat agrees with me.
It's going to get rough here.
I'm the best.
Next one on my list. Let's see here.
I don't want to look at the screen. And
yeah, I don't look here.
I'm going to turn away and you show me number 9.
Number 9, Iron Man 3.
Okay.
You have no problems with Iron Man 3 being on my top 10.
I have a problem with you ranking it higher than Thor Ragnarok. However, I recently did a rewatch of the whole MCU, and Iron Man 3 is much better than I remember.
This is a movie that so many people ridicule, and I understand the Mandarin. It took a couple years before we got an actual rendition of the Mandarin that everyone liked, and you know what? It was amazing. Shang-Chi almost made my 10. Spoiler, didn't make my 10. Almost did. I would put it like 11, honestly. It may even creep up over time. I have the right to change my mind. But here, Iron Man 3, the reason why I liked it is that this is post the...
Wormhole.
Yeah. This
Avengers.
Is the first Avengers movie. And this is where you see Tony Stark really get depressed. This is when he starts becoming the Tony Stark that we all know him to be, having to deal with the weight of leading the entire Avengers team, even though that's not really how it was in the comics. Regardless, the weight of Iron Man and the responsibility that he has to fight aliens and this like the cosmic universe just opening up, the pressure being so much larger than he anticipated being, I really enjoyed that narrative. It really did a level of character development I wish the second film had done, which is why the second film is not on my list. Ben Kingsley as
fantastic
Mandarin, after rewatching it a second time, a third time, I like it more and more. It was hysterical.
He is so funny in this movie.
This may be the funniest MCU movie that exists. I don't think there's a funnier one. I think it's funnier than Thor Ragnarok. Some of the Thor Ragnarok lines, they hit hard. You know,
right.
Oh, he's my friend from work. Like, that's hilarious. And I heard that was actually off the cuff, you know, Always Sunny type of improv happening. But this particular movie, when there's just so many scenes right after another that are just like laugh out loud funny when you're by yourself. And that's how you know it's funny. Anytime movie for me. Iron Man 3 makes my top 10. And people are going to hate it.
People are, I'm looking at the chat here, and you are getting some ire.
I love it. That's why this is, you know, one of the best comic book podcasts in the world.
Pick the worst MCU movies and say they're all your favorites. And
there we go.
Just stir the hornet's nest.
Just to troll everybody.
However, anybody who has a gut reaction that this is a poorly placed film, I would suggest give Iron Man 3 another shot. It might have been a while since you've seen it. I hadn't seen it in years until I did a whole MCU binge a couple months ago. This movie holds up.
There we go. We're talking my
Definitely
top 10
better than
favorite
Iron Man 2.
MCU films. I know. Mark Manilow says, Shang-Chi is not in your top 10. Okay, your list is trash. Here's the thing. I've only watched Shang-Chi twice. And it's so close. But these 10, I've been watching these movies for years, some of them. It may take a little bit. Next year, we may have to come back to the table. There's so many more. There's already a handful of movies that, I've only seen once. Maybe if I watch it again, I will like it more.
Quick question before we move on. Does Spider-Man films count?
No.
Those are Sony, like the Tom Holland ones.
The Tom Holland ones do.
They count?
They count, and they're not on my list.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
none of
to
them made
know. I'm going to turn away, and so you get the next movie up.
Okay.
I don't like seeing the thumbnail spoilers over here, so I'm going to look at the Megazord instead.
Do it. Okay, here we go. Oh, here. Bear with me, comic fam.
It is a cool toy.
We're doing this. Number 8 on my list, AntMan and the Wasp.
Okay, here we go.
I am a diehard Ant-Man fan. These two, okay, we're talking about number 2.
Correct.
I'm kind of foreshadowing here. This film was so underrated. The fight scene alone, that's kind of, when I'm talking about scenes in the MCU that I think of that were some of my favorites that make an entire movie exciting for me, it is the shrinking battle that takes place. There is nothing more comic book to me than that.
One of my favorite laughs in the entire MCU is when, I think it was in the first one, when they're having that fight on like the train set, and then like they is it when they blow the Thomas train up and it smashes through the wall. That's fun. But there was some scene where like it's this big epic fight, and then you zoom out and you see what it really looks like, and you just hear this little like dink as it like they hit the wall, and like there's a lot of fun size play stuff that happens.
So you're getting into both movies, but here's the thing: the concept of Paul Rudd's character and that his ability being being able to shrink and grow large. I think it's my favorite aspect of superhero powers being displayed on the screen. Thor's cool. I love it. Iron Man's dope. He's in armor. Dope. Cool. I'm happy. Dope. All right. Ant-Man, every time he fights, it's unique. The way he fought Thanos was unique. The way that he rode the arrow of Hawkeye's in Civil War, which didn't make my list. One of my favorite parts of that entire movie. Every time Paul Rudd is on screen, it's funny, it's impactful, it has some of the best character development of any character. He's the most relatable Avenger.
Yeah.
What, are you relate to Black Widow? Hawkeye?
No.
He's a spy. Or a god. Or a multi-millionaire. Is he a billionaire? I don't know. Tony Stark's mega rich philanthropist playboy. No, you can't relate to him.
I relate to that, the playboy aspect. That's me.
For
sure.
Like what character in the Avengers team can you even slightly relate to? It's Paul Rudd. He's just trying to be a dad. He's struggling. One of our favorite breakdowns that we ever did on this channel.
Correct. That no one probably remembers.
Ant-Man. Second Chance Man.
Man.
Everyone needs to read that comic book. Anyways, Ant-Man, Wasp. I was more excited to watch this sequel than most other MCU movies. Not all, but most, which is why it ranked at my list at number 8.
These movies have really fun action sequences. I get bored with the surrounding plot elements of these movies. The whole finding the mom stuck in the quantum realm didn't really land for me with the Ant-Man films.
Are you kidding me? Going into the quantum
realm? I liked
realm?
when they went in there, but like the whole movie and the whole first movie and the half of the second movie where they like build up to it and like, I don't know.
Oh my God. Ghost.
These movies drag for me.
The shrinking of the headquarters, the bus. I mean,
the action stuff is fun. Like the whole car chase in Ant-Man 2 is fantastic.
The ants that grow, like this right here, it's so comic booky, and that's what I want.
Right, with the ant drumming and the house arrest and all that. I enjoy this movie. I wouldn't put it in my top 10. I'm going to spoil that right now. Maybe when I go look at my list, I'll reevaluate stuff. But my gut reaction is no.
I have zero need for a giant cosmic opera every single superhero movie that hits the screen.
Sure.
Oh, the world is ending for the 100th time. Oh my gosh, the planet is actually going to give birth to a celestial. Awesome. It doesn't need to be like that every single time I watch a superhero movie. This is like a heist movie. I go into it and I don't have to feel like it's going to be impending doom, that there's going to be a snap, even though that's on my list. This right here is an anytime movie for me. It makes my list. Next one.
I respect you.
Iron Man 1.
Okay.
It's going to be on everyone's list. I think this ranked really high on Gem Mintz. Well, shout out Gem Mint.
It's your boy Gem Mint.
Who also did his ranking. Make sure to go watch it on his channel. This may have been like top 3. Jem, you're in the chat. Remind me what number you placed Iron Man 1. This right here is just a superb movie. Easy as that. It started everything.
It's responsible for everything.
And it's fun. I remember finding out that Iron Man was going to be a thing. Like, that's what they're going to start with?
I don't even know what Iron Man was when I was, 18 or 19 when this came out. I was just in college, and we all went to go see it, and, like, I just thought it was a comic book movie. I didn't know who Iron Man was. I didn't read comics before that, really.
Well, the thing is, most people didn't know who Iron Man was because he was, like, not even a C-list character. He was, like, a D, list character. Not that it was bad. It's just, it's Iron Man. You think of all these other people first. But starting out with Robert Downey Jr.
Is that how this looks over here?
Yeah, that's how it looks.
With all these borders?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a border. I'm sorry. It's
space.
just how it is for now. We're going to fix it going forward, Comic Fam. Yeah. All right, so this was number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list, let's bring it up. Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
So the resolve is what this one's about. It's just so, there was no other movie that I anticipated more, that I felt like I needed to be at the theater before anyone else. I needed, like, this to me, I felt the same way I felt when I watched Return of the King the first time.
Okay.
I was ready to stop whatever I was doing. I bought 2 tickets because I knew I needed to see it back to back. I didn't care if I was going to be in the theater for 7 hours.
More like 12 hours, man.
Dude, Return of the King and Two Towers. My parents were crazy. All right? They took me out of school.
Well, yeah.
Like, they literally
good parenting.
gave me a note, like, Tom has to leave during science. We have to go see Two Towers. And they, literally, all right, today's Lord of the Rings Day.
Death of the family or some, actual excuse. Tom's got to go watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. They did it for Harry Potter. They did it for Lord of the Rings. They did it for Return of the King. I felt like that level of importance to watch this movie because we have been talking so damn much about another movie on this list. But it's not there yet.
So before...
I'm putting Avengers Age of Ultron at the list at number 5.
Above Endgame.
Above Endgame. And really, Endgame, the resolve. Everyone's seen it. I don't need to hone in on how amazing it was to hear Avengers assemble and to see everybody on the screen at once. It was probably the closest... dude, I got tears in my eyes during that movie.
Oh, yeah.
That was an emotional
You can
moment.
watch that build up and that scene of them all gathering and the hammer, him catching the hammer and out of nowhere. I'm getting chills just talking about it.
I know, dude. It's I don't know if it's the lights because I'm sweating here, or if it's just us thinking.
Can I get a little dark for a minute before?
Get dark, baby.
Before Endgame came out.
Get dark, baby.
Is there applause for the darkness?
Yeah.
I remember thinking as long as I don't die before Avengers Endgame. Anytime after that, I'm good. I want to see how this wraps up. If I get hit by a bus, as long as it's on my way out of the theater.
Oh my God, Ryan! That's the quote right there that Marvel's got to use. As long as I don't die before this movie comes out, it's gonna be okay.
After that, I'm fine.
Oh Lord, that is nuts. But okay, Avengers: Age of Ultron, underrated. This is a fun movie. It's Ultron, and we have the freaking Lizard King playing Ultron.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay, I forgot about that. Yep.
Right?
The way people feel about the Mandarin getting shafted and used incorrectly is how I feel about Ultron here. I was a little disappointed with the overall usage of Ultron in this movie, even though I'm not that familiar with him in the comics.
James Spader, when he was on set, you can look this up on YouTube, Comic Fam. The Avengers cast stood there in amusement. They were stunned about what they were seeing. James Spader became Ultron on set, but this is all green screen and stuff attached to him, just like Paul Rudd does when he goes full Hulk. He's towering over people because they have him on...
Mark Ruffalo?
Oh, Mark Ruffalo. Thank you.
Paul Rudd would be a great Hulk, though.
He would be a great Hulk. But when Mark Ruffalo goes Hulk, they have to add stuff to him, when he go on full green. And it's all silly because they green screen it, right?
The tennis balls to make sure you look at the right place.
Dude, James Spader towering over individuals, becoming a computer, the living computer, It is outstanding. And watching the other Avengers look at him in awe, in amazement about his ability to channel Ultron, watch that and then rewatch Age of Ultron. Because it is some comedy in it. Yeah, it's maybe not what you wanted from the comics because it wasn't as dark, but I didn't want it to be dark because then it would just be another Iron Man movie.
I did have an issue with this movie specifically. There was a lot of behind the scenes meddling with a corporate versus Joss Whedon and making him like chop it up. And it definitely felt disjointed at parts. There was a part where like Thor went off into a vision cave and had like this. There was a bunch of sequences that got cut and like chopped up, and it definitely feels like there were too many people in the kitchen, too many cooks.
I completely understand how that would happen because this was a giant movie.
But the scene where they're at that party and then Ultron just kind of stumbles out, the very first version of him, that is one of the scariest moments in the whole series.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. You know something is so damn wrong. And this is also where you get the Scarlet Witch. You get Quicksilver.
True.
All right?
Barely you get Quicksilver, but yeah, he's
barely,
here.
But I'm glad they did what they did.
And she still had an accent in this movie, and they just kind of slowly chipped that away year by year, but...
They did. We also get the fun scene at the end with everyone trying to lift Thor's hammer. Which became a meme. It's like one of the first biggest memes of Marvel. I mean, that's not why this movie is on my top list, but specifically James Spader, Ultron, I don't even care. Like, some people do not like it.
You also really like James Spader from The Office. Is that coloring your pick here at all?
Absolutely.
Your love?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bias, I don't care.
Just Robert California.
Yeah.
You did change my mind about that character. Complete tangent right now.
He's like one of the best characters in the entire series.
Talking to you and hearing...
James freaking Spader.
Yeah, hearing you stick up for him made me appreciate it more.
Okay, here we go. Next on the list, we got Black Panther. Easy peasy. No, wait a minute. I missed one.
You missed
one. I screwed up.
Spoilers.
Okay, we're only at number 4. I just spoiled number 3. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War.
I agree. Unless, I mean, I don't know if the first Avengers movie is higher than this, but this is my favorite Avengers film.
I didn't even put first Avengers on my list.
Okay.
So I put Infinity War on here because dude, this is just as epic as it gets for a superhero narrative. Thanos going full Thanos, causing the blip, something that we talked about on the mic that started an entire breakdown series. Comic Fam, when this happened, Ryan and I looked at each other and we're like, at the start of trying to figure out
how we would even make content, we said, let's
as a YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's pick a movie that's going to come out soon. Avengers, Infinity War. And we'll just do a little discussion on the Infinity Gauntlet plotline.
Dude, it became such a long discussion on the back end before we were even like bring it to the mic, talking about what they were going to do. And then when it happened, oh my gosh. Oh.
Gross.
I'm burping. Oh. It's getting worse. Oh my gosh. Coffee's coming out. It happened. And we all expected it to. Did they go to the, is it the Soul Gem? Did they go inside the Soul Gem? Or is Warlock coming out? Are they going to come back? Is everyone dead? It was so impactful that it spawned so many videos on this channel. I owe so much to this movie because this got the wheels turning for so much spec. The comic book game in general, investing, speculating, collecting, all of it. Buy, selling, and trading. This movie caused way more to happen than any movie I could think of up until then.
April 27th, 2018 would be the release date for this movie. And I started on this channel February or something, 2018. So this was like
months.
Very, very beginning of, in like a personal way, this movie has a lot to do with the overall direction, the content you and I made. So
there you go. Number 3 on my list, Black Panther. Anytime movie. This is a beautifully done movie. Action, Wakanda. Every actor in this, actress, nails the role. One of the most important movies for culture ever made. And one of the best leads probably ever. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is there really anything else to say?
I get a vibe from this movie, and I see why it had such an impact outside of the comic book world. And as far as if you look at the whole MCU as a franchise, this one stands apart. And you can really tell that this was made by a team of people who wanted to do something different that stands out on its own. And it feels just all throughout, it just feels kind of like an MCU movie, but it feels kind of like Shang-Chi in a way.
Yeah.
You can tell it fits in this overall puzzle, but it's very much
in its own way,
its own distinct thing.
Yes.
I kind of feel the same way about Harry Potter 3, Prisoner of Azkaban. That movie is they all fit together. That's a whole franchise, but that movie was made by a filmmaker.
Yes.
And it sticks out, and it's got its own flavor.
It's got that serious effect, and that's what this movie has for me. It's a cool movie to watch. I remember watching the first time and thinking I got to watch it again and again. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's been an anytime movie, and it still is, and it always will be. And
one of the best villains.
Oh man, the fight, M'Baku, everything. It's so damn good. And yeah, freaking love this movie. All right, number 2 on my list, Ant-Man 1.
I had no idea you were such a big Ant fan.
Dude, it's Ant-Man. It's Paul Rudd. I enjoyed this movie at the theater more than any other movie on this list, including my number 1.
Okay.
I'll get to my number 1 in a second. But this movie is the most enjoyable MCU film for me that exists right now. For all the reasons that we talked about before with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
It's essentially the same stuff. All right. Last but not least, my favorite MCU movie of all time, Captain America, the First Avenger.
Why? Defend this, please.
This movie gets me freaking hyped. It's Golden Age. This right here, this movie defines what a superhero movie is to me. You have the patriotism, the First Avenger, the one that starts it all, the relationship with Bucky, Steve Rogers becoming super because of the serum, the red freaking skull.
My favorite part of that movie.
The fight scenes. This movie, you put this on, I get hyped. I want to like start running Reggie style.
Just go in,
Reggie collects.
Just run.
This is what Reggie does. Oh, we're gonna talk about comic books. Let me get my treadmill. All right, comic fam, we're gonna talk about comic books, and he's like working out the entire time. Like that's all I want to do when I watch this movie. I want a grade. I want a price. It is a movie I will be watching for like the 10th time, and I'll rewind scenes because you know what? I want to watch it again. That's how I feel.
I wanna critique your pick. I also don't want to do it because it'll spoil some elements of my list that's coming out next.
Well, don't do that,
show.
Ryan. Critique it based off of my placement, not yours.
I would be interested in hearing an argument for this movie being in your top 10 somewhere. I would be willing to entertain that discussion. I would even be willing to entertain the thought that maybe you accidentally switched your first and last picks.
Oh my God. Dude, the first of it's Captain America.
I love Captain America.
This is Golden Age.
More than a lot of comic collectors.
This movie is the only real like Golden Age movie.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts, man.
Sure, but
this is it. His relationship with Carter, like everything about this movie is so good. When he jumps on the grenade,
right?
Oh my God! How do you not feel something? How do you not just feel like
that encapsulates the entirety of Captain America in itself?
That's what I'm saying.
But,
Comic fam, I gotta know your thoughts. Ryan disagrees, but you know what? Fire Guy Ryan and I don't have to agree about everything. And I want to know your thoughts about your favorite MCU films in the comment section below.
Starting the auction off at $1 for 1 minute, like we always do.
This is one of our favorite covers, and you got it.
A little bit of that, what y'all been looking for, right? A little bit of that, what y'all been looking for, right?